7 years in Panama and then life changed overnight. I had to move back to New York City as a single mom of two. Figuring things out in real time, this channel is changing with me. New York City life, rebuilding, and traveling back to Panama where my family still is. No filter, just real life. Hey guys, welcome back to my canal de YouTube. Welcome back guys to my YouTube channel. So happy to see you guys. I know this video is extremely late because your girl went out last night, right? I went out last night and I had an amazing time. One thing about New York City is never going to disappoint, okay? Never going to disappoint. So guys, I know that it's been a long journey, okay? Those of you who are new here, welcome. To my old subscribers, thank you for returning, thank you for engaging, and thank you for helping me boost my content. Thanks to you guys, we are 400 subscribers up. And every day and counting, I am closer to my goal. Thank you to you. So I want to say shout out to the V Squad. Okay guys, so by the title of this video, you already know what it's going to be about. So if you guys have been watching my Surviving New York City series on TikTok as well as YouTube Short, this is a long story on how we got here. I kind of started this new series on my TikTok and as well here on YouTube Shorts, talking about Surviving New York City. It's basically like a small docu-series or mini vlogs of what I've been encountering while being in New York City. So when we're talking about rent, haircut, downsizing, budget shots, this is why I started this mini series about surviving New York City, but it's like in a little humorous way. So if you haven't done so, you can click on where it says YouTube Shorts and you can find me on TikTok, same name on TikTok, or you can just view the shorts right here on YouTube. But honestly speaking, I'm a little biased. I prefer YouTube over TikTok any day, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. If you're new here, you're probably gonna ask, okay, why would you leave? Because I'm still getting these questions. Why would you leave a country like Panama where it's beautiful, the weather is beautiful, to come back to this shithole? I didn't say the country was a shithole. That's what the comments were saying, okay? So don't come for me because you guys love to come for your girl, okay? If you have not had a chance or opportunity to view my video on why I left Panama, you can actually view that video right here. I'm going to link it up here, or I'm going to link it in the description box below so you could just catch on if you're new to this channel. So the reason why I left Panama in the first place was because living abroad actually gives you freedom, a slower life, and a different mindset. I became a different person living abroad. Living abroad actually takes you out of the hustle and bustle, me particularly New York City. It's so crazy I'm even wearing this shirt. But I feel like when you live in America, when you're raised in America, you are some way, somehow, you lack a sense of gratitude because everything is pretty much fast paced, especially if you're in New York, right? So if you need something done, it's rush, 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 rush. But in Panama, that's not what it was. Although those are some of the things I did not appreciate, or I did not per se, I wasn't a fan about in Panama, those things helped me to grow and help me to be a better person. So would I recommend anyone to live abroad for a certain amount of time? Absolutely. The sense of growth, your mindset changes, you just become more mature in the sense, and you also are able to have so much more gratitude. So let's talk about the reason why I actually came back to New York City. I know we spoke about this, but just to get new people on board, just briefly, let's touch the main points. So number one was career, family, life transitions, personal growth, and this is just my reset season. So I don't want to paint this like this is a bag full of roses, because it's not. This transition wasn't something that was planned. It was something that was actually low-key kind of forced. And although this situation was not planned, what I will say though, things just fell into place, which leads me to believe that this is where I was supposed to be at this time in my life. Because the way things happened and the way things fell in my lap, that was only God, okay? And you know when they say, oh, everything happens for a reason, everything is definitely happening for a reason. I'm not sure yet what the reasons are, but what I will say is that I'm trusting the process, because the process is surely trusting me. So one of the things that people hardly ever talk about is reverse culture shock. So yes, although I was raised in New York City, I was not born in New York City, but I was raised in New York City. I lived in Panama for over a decade. When I left New York, things were a lot different from what it is right now. I'll give you a prime example. I lived in Canarsie. When we first moved to Canarsie, it was a predominantly white neighborhood. Once started moving into the neighborhood, those people moved out. But Canarsie was pretty much a really calm area. Lots of working middle class black people, Caribbean people, people that wanted something, black people that wanted for themselves, black people that wanted something for their families outside of, you know, the regular schmegula deal. Not saying that if you did not live in Canarsie you didn't want those things, because I have to be very careful what I say, because someone is always offended with what I say. Even if I'm not talking about you in particular, somehow, some way, somehow, someone always makes it about themselves. So with that being said, upon moving back to Canarsie and back to New York City, and particularly Brooklyn, there are areas like Bed-Stuy, areas like what would have been like Red Hook, Sunset Park, areas like Brownsville. Those are areas that certain people just would not walk into, and now I'm seeing them all over the place. And it's actually turning New York City into, especially these particular areas that was what we would consider cultured, is actually changing the culture completely, right? So when I was here, or even when I would come down to visit sometimes, Brooklyn felt like Little Caribbean, right? So you had all, not only just Little Caribbean, but you had all these different cultures that made Brooklyn what it was. And now it's starting to look like Little House on the Prairie. I don't even recognize it anymore, right? I don't recognize it anymore. So there is definitely a culture shock with that. Also, the rent prices are actually through the roof. I remember when I was here, you can actually rent an apartment for $500, $800. Now it's like quadruple that. Like, I'm just like, whoa, what happened? Okay, when did this happen? As I continue to live here and try to flourish here, I start to see things from a different perspective. Certain things are extremely disappointing, to say. The lack of resources that are available to the people that were living here for years, and how they're being pushed out of these areas and being pushed to other areas that they are not familiar with, just so that other people can move in and change the trajectory of the whole entire community. Reverse culture shock is definitely real. So I'm at a point where I'm kind of like, I don't really have a sense of belonging right now. I feel like I don't belong anywhere at this point, because things have changed so much. The culture has changed. Finding places to actually hang out and restaurants to go to now, it's kind of like different. I remember when I was here before, this is like years ago, when I would go to these restaurants, like there were certain restaurants where you felt very homey. When I would catch up with some of my friends, oh hey, let's go, for example, let's go to Sugarcane, or let's go to Mango Seed. It kind of is like so different. And then, you know, the owners, we knew who the owners were. They would sit down and they would talk to the clients. The culture has definitely shifted, and it seems like everything is about the money. Now I get it, we need money, right? The lack of community, or the diminishing of community, is something that I'm having a hard time like dealing with. Another thing that I'm dealing with is that a lot of my friends have moved on. So some of them moved to other states, some of them are just not coming outside like that, some of them are having financial difficulties where they can't spend money like how they used to. So a lot of things have changed. Another thing is that I am grieving my old life while still trying to build a new life. What do I mean by that? So when I was in Panama, I was able to drop my kids off to school, pick them up. When my kids would come home, I was there for them. I mean, I kind of still am able to do that now, but it's not as much freedom as I had before. So when my kids would come home from school, like for example, Amir would be able to go outside, hang out with his friends. That is no more. After work, I would be able to go hang out with my parents. I would eat with my parents, have dinner with my parents every night. Now that is not existent. And those are the things that I kind of like miss the most. I miss being able to go to my parents' house, me and the kids, going to my parents' house, having dinner with them, because let's be honest, my parents are not going to be here forever, right? Amir was blessed and lucky enough to grow up with his grandparents, but Gia does not have the same experience. So Gia's grandparents on her father's side, her grandfather lives like in Florida, and he really doesn't like really check for her. Her grandmother though is very consistent in her life on her dad's side, and then my parents are consistent in her life as well, but she doesn't get to physically see them how we were seeing them when we were in Panama. So that is kind of like heartbreaking. Right now it's just my sister and I, and then we're trying to like figure this whole thing out together now that the roles are now reversed, where she was the one on the outside, where she wasn't hanging out with us because she was always here, and I was on the other side of the world, and now we are coexisting in one space. So now creating new memories, like Thanksgiving, when we had our Thanksgiving dinner, we cooked all the meals, and just creating memories with my kids, and hopefully she'll have kids soon and we can create those memories as well. I actually started like a group chat with some of my cousins that I grew up with, because that's another thing. Like everybody went their different ways, and these are like my cousins that I grew up with. I lived with them, and now we hardly speak, and that's one of the things that I kind of like want to change, having more activities, like family activities, because the elders are going to pass on one day, and it's up to us to be able to keep the families together. So that's kind of one of the things that I was struggling with, because like when my family or my cousins would come to Panama, they would congregate at my father's house or my parents' house, and that was still a way for us to bond. Now I'm no longer there. It's kind of like, damn, what we gonna do? So another thing is that I feel like a stranger in my own hometown. Like, again, I was raised in New York City, right? This was my old stomping ground, but I don't even know half the things that's going on. Like, I'm gonna give you guys a prime example. So I went to look for an apartment, which I actually love the apartment, and you know, the area, I think it's a good area. And my dad was like, you know something, yeah, you know this area from when you were there, but things have changed. You don't know what the area is like anymore. It has changed since you've been there. So my phone is going off. What I would do is go to the precinct and speak to someone in the precinct to find out about the area, because honestly, you have not been there in over a decade, which makes so much sense. And I'm just like, wow, like I really feel like, yeah, I know what's going on. I don't need you to tell me. Not only that, I'm still using ways to get to certain places because I don't remember how to get to certain places without using map or looking, or even trying to take public transportation. I have to download the MTA app. I have to use Waze and every single application to find out where certain things are, because I haven't been here in so long. Streets closed, there's buildings all over the place, new communities, and I'm just like, wow, like I really feel like I'm a whole stranger in my own hometown. Now let's talk about the financial reality check. So rent here is sky high. As I said before, rent was not this disrespectful. Well, guess what? It is now. Everyday expenses. I feel like every time I go outside, I'm always spending money, which kind of like is one of the reasons why I don't like going outside. Now, I know people are like, well, you don't have to go outside. You could have gatherings with your friends or whatever. You still have to spend money. Like, I'm not showing up at no one's house if I don't have a bottle of wine, a bottle of champagne, something, okay? Because I was taught you don't show up to people's house empty-handed. So you still have to spend money to go outside, whether you like it or not. I have a car. If I'm going someplace, I gotta spend money on gas. Depending on where I'm going, I have to pay tolls. So yeah, then you also gotta be careful, because New York City is very disrespectful with these cameras in the lights, okay, where they're just snapping your pictures for every little thing. No, I'm not the type of person to speed, but that's also something that you have to think about. Like, you will be outside thinking, okay, I only want to spend this amount of money, and then you end up having to spend a whole different amount of money. So yes, outside is expensive, whether you like it or not. All right, especially if you're doing errands, you might want to grab a bite to eat. Guess what? You have to spend money to buy food. Like, it is absolutely expensive. Like, to buy a burger and fries now is almost damn near $30. $30. The other day I did not meal prep, and I usually just bring my lunch to work. So I have like a salad, whatever, right? So this particular day I did not bring anything, and I was like, damn, I'm just gonna have to like order something. $27 for a doggone burrito. Yeah, this is the nonsense that I'm talking about. So one of the things that this is forcing me to do is budget, right? So I have to budget everything. For example, okay, I know you see my video, I cut my hair. Why? Because I feel like cutting my hair was an expense that I was able to cut. For example, when I had my hair short before when I was in Panama. When I got back here, I was growing out my hair, but then you're spending money on weaves, you're spending money on this, you're spending money on that just to get different hairstyles. I'm like, yeah, no. At least with my hair short, I can maintain it myself. Well, I can relax my hair, I can maintain it, and that just requires me to go to the salon once a month just for a cut. So I'm actually saving. Now I'm downsizing, okay? So instead of me looking for this huge home like I had in Panama, which was actually a little bit costly, I'm looking for something smaller. Why am I looking for something smaller? Because cleaning, okay? I also don't want to have to buy a whole bunch of furniture to furnish the spot. The bigger the house, the more furniture that you're going to have to buy, the more cleaning that you're going to have to do. It's a lot to upkeep. I have a whole house in Panama that I'm upkeeping right now, and it's expensive. I don't want to get into that expense again, especially not in New York, because they do the taxes, the property taxes, the fines that they place on you for not shoveling in front. It's just too much, and it's way too much drama that I do not want to deal with. So downsizing is something that I'm doing to budget. We don't eat out as much. Another thing that people don't talk about is how starting over is extremely humbling, right? So I have been humbled in so many different ways. I don't even know where to begin. So rebuilding, I think for me, is like so hard. I'm starting from scratch. So what does that mean? I'm rebuilding my finances from zero. So me having to start a career all over again, putting into my pension, 401ks, making sure I have certain things in place. God forbid something happens to me, my kids are taken care of. Now, rebuilding routine, get up early in the morning. I gotta make their breakfast. When I was in Panama, I had someone that was helping me, right? So I have to get up, and I'm not complaining, because actually I find joy in feeding my kids, right? I find joy in getting up and making sure that my kids are eating breakfast. I'm there with them. We get ready together. Everybody leaves at the same time. I'm dropping everybody off at school at the same time. Then I go to work. And then on my way back, I'm picking up my daughter from school. Amir does like all these extracurricular activities. So he comes home on his own. But I want to make sure that by the time he gets back, he has a hot meal on his table. And as far as she is concerned, I'm able to help her with her homework as well. Trying to get her into extracurricular activities is difficult. Like, for example, she was doing swimming classes in Panama and trying to find swimming classes here that are affordable, because child, they are disrespectful with these prices, okay? Even the YMCA, I remember years ago the YMCA was not charging $400 a month for swimming classes. I thought the YMCA was a nonprofit organization. I don't understand, but yeah, trying to get a routine together, trying to get Gia especially in extracurricular activities, all of that is taking a toll on me, because I'm still trying to get into the groove of things. So rebuilding income and a whole new direction. As you guys know, that I was an entrepreneur. Well, I still am an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur in Panama. But one thing about entrepreneurship that people don't talk about is that your business can sink. You can be up one minute and you can be down another minute, and you just have to continuously keep trying to figure out new ways to pivot, right? I am at an age in my life where I realize that I do not want to be working for the rest of my life. I don't want to have to open up my business and have to sit in there when I'm 80, 85 years old. I do not want to do that. I had to figure out a way that, hey, what am I gonna do when I reach this age? And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I have witnessed, okay, especially with the older generations that are in Panama, the ones that did not work, the ones that didn't pay into Social Security and don't have the options to work, because Panama is also an ageist country, right? After a certain age, people do not want to hire you. I have seen the tolls that it took on people when they're not financially stable and able to take care of their families or take care of themselves, because they don't have the finances to do that. I don't want that to be me, okay? Do I want to return to Panama? Yes, eventually. But I need to make sure that even though we may have businesses, that I have multiple streams of income. I don't know if that makes sense. If I make sense and you understand what I'm saying, leave it in the comment section below. Because I left and I was gone for so long, I feel like I am behind compared to my peers. A lot of my peers are already into their careers, already 20 years into their careers, 20 years into certain things and certain benefits, and me starting over and starting a whole new career field and just trying to find my sense of belonging. It feels like sometimes I feel like I kind of go back and forth with these emotions, like, damn, did I make a mistake? Maybe I should not have done this. But again, I kind of don't have any regrets because I have been taught so many lessons. And again, like I said, everything just fell into my lap once I got back. So some of the things that I am grateful for being back is the opportunities that I have been blessed with. I am super grateful for that. The other day I was talking to my best friend who happens to be Gia's godfather, I'm sorry, and we were just talking about some of the things that was happening in my life. And he says to me, you know, I'm so proud of you because you are the type of person that you are such a go-getter, and no matter what you put your mind to, you're gonna make it happen. Like, if you were supposed to be a janitor, you're gonna make sure that you're the best janitor. You always put your best foot forward in anything that you do, and I admire that about you. There's people that have been in America all their lives and haven't accomplished half the things that you accomplished in the 6 months that you've been here. And I was like, wow, you know, I'm being hard on myself and I'm thinking like I'm not doing enough. And then there's other people that's like, girl, you're doing it. Like, you need to calm down, you need to relax, you're doing it. Another thing that I'm grateful for is the energy. New York's energy, it puts you back into the hustle. It actually is motivating me to do better. Another thing that I am grateful for is having access, okay? This is the biggest part of this whole thing that I'm grateful for. I have had access to certain things that I would not have had access to if I stayed in Panama, right? In this season of my life. So being able to connect with certain individuals, connect with certain in different industries, and giving me the opportunity to expand on what I am trying to do and my focus and my overall goals in life. Another thing is that I'm grateful for is creative motivation. Being able to meet other people, like I said, and, you know, meet with like-minded individuals has boosted my confidence in a way and my creativity, especially when it comes to YouTube, right? So I was not taking YouTube very seriously. YouTube to me was like a hobby, but now that I'm talking to people and meeting other people, I'm starting to realize the benefits of YouTube. So even those people that are rude, the ones that call my parents to talk about my content when they don't agree with it, all of those things are helping me to build another business that I have not shared with you guys yet, but I am grateful for it. So some of the things that living abroad has taught me is perspective, right? Seeing things from different lenses. It has made me a better person. So not only have I become resilient, it also has helped me to know who I am and be sure of myself, right? So I was able to find my own personal identity. Knowing who you are can allow you to survive changes. And that's why I have been so successful in achieving certain things in such a short span of time. I'm also not afraid to start all over again if I have to, right? So this whole experience has taught me, like, hey, when life gives you lemon, what you gonna do? You're gonna make lemonade, okay? And you're gonna add sugar in it and you're gonna spice it up and you're gonna make it the best lemonade that you ever had. And so that's one of the things that this whole situation has taught me. So if you are someone who's living abroad and you are thinking about moving back, but people are telling you, hey, do not move back. This economy, you know, New York City is a mess right now. I would say that when the current sitting president was sitting in office the first time, people said the same thing that they're saying now, and I was in Panama. And I will say that the reason why it's easy for me to tune out people when they make those type of comments is because I lived the experience, right? I lived the experience when the sitting president was the sitting president then. I lived through COVID in a whole nother country, and it was still the same thing. Nothing really changed. Everybody was saying the same thing. If Kamala Harris won, people still would have been saying the same thing. So with that being said, I would say this. It's okay if it gets messy. It's okay if it's not permanent. You are not feeling, you're evolving, and it's okay to feel all the feelings that you're feeling. So what is next for me? I'm just rebuilding my life, stress-free, building on my YouTube channel, creating mini series like Surviving New York City and other series that is going to come in the future. And I'm just pivoting careers. This is my healing and growth era, and I would love for you guys to continue following along with me on this journey, because I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning into my videos, and as always, peace and love. If you have not done so already, make sure you liked and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.